the former president of Liberia, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, has just arrived. And so earlier on, we had the arrival of the Speaker, Vice President, and members of the House of Representatives, including members of the House of Senate. All right.
Of the Honorable House of Representatives, the Vice President and members of the Liberian Senate, honorable ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to announce to you the opening of the second joint session of the 54th Legislature for the purpose of His Excellency Joy Weah to deliver his first annual message to the 54th Legislature of the Republic of Liberia. And now, therefore, this joint legislative session is hereby called to order, and it is hereby so ordered.
Okay, so the Sajia arm of the House of Representatives just call the session to order.
Dr. Beaufort Chambers, Speaker and Presiding Officer of this joint legislative section, Her Excellency Madam Joah Howard Taylor, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, President of the Liberian Senate, honored to announce that there is a quorum for the transaction of this joint legislative business for the sole purpose of receiving the President's first annual message. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you so much. Honorable ladies and gentlemen of the 54th Legislature, a unanimous vote to resolve into the joint section for the sole purpose, as stated earlier, of is resolved. The 54th Legislature is hereby resolved into said joint section to receive the President of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah, the annual message for the year 2018, and it is hereby so ordered. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I ask the joint executive committee of the both houses to go and meet His Excellency President George Weah to be escorted into the joint chambers.
Okay, and so the members of the executive committee of both houses, the House of Senate and the House of Representatives, have been asked by the Speaker of the Honorable Liberian House of Representatives to go downstairs and meet the President of Liberia and have him escorted to the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature here on Capitol Hill. And so we see members of the committees moving down to receive the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah. And so Hot TV Channel 12 is coming to you live from the joint chambers here at the Capitol, where His Excellency President George Weah will be addressing this country, Liberia, in accordance with Article 58 of the 1986 Constitution. And it is required that the President on the 4th working Monday of January address the nation to include the entire state of the nation, the economic condition. He will also talk about the security and everything that has to do with our country. And so we hear what you continue to see is protocol officers standing. You also see lawmakers, both from the House of Representatives and the Honorable House of Senate. They're here present in the joint chambers of the Capitol building here on Capitol Hill. The name is Kai Oliver Kai. Hot TV Channel 12 is bringing you this all important program marking the first State of the Nation address by His Excellency Josh Weah. And so the band team of the Armed Forces of Liberia are playing a selection. They're having their selection being played as we await the members of the committee on executive to usher in the president of our country. And so we see the former president of Liberia, Her Excellency Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the members of the bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia. We also see the Speaker and Vice President having a tete-a-tete discussion. Senate Pro Tempore Honorable Abbott Tugbachier is also there. And so the Vice President is seated between the Senate Pro Tempore and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And so Honorable Edwin Melvin Snow, Honorable Dr. Buffer Chambers, the Vice President of Liberia, having this all-important tete-a-tete discussion. And so we in the joint chambers of the Honorable Liberian Legislature, members of the Supreme Court here. Okay, so beautiful melody being produced there by the band team of the Armed Forces of Liberia as they are all here with their brass band producing those sounds you're hearing. If you're watching us across the globe, we urge you to share this broadcast. We sincerely apologize for the technical problem earlier on. This is not our making. This is what we have in our country as it relates to technology. But again, we're glad that we are back on. And so we are waiting the members of the committee on executive as they will soon be arriving with the president of Liberia as he will be escorted to the joint chambers of the Honorable Liberian Legislature. So her TV channel 12, Kind Oliver Kind with the commentary, Nick Sieber behind the cameras, Joseph Doe making sure all of the technical jobs, all of the visual production is done and given to you clearer. And so the officers of the Armed Forces of Liberia playing some traditional Liberian rhythm, Siolele, and that is the song you're listening to. Alright. Okay, so the members of the Armed Forces of Liberia band team continue to entertain the guests, to entertain the VIPs here as they gradually and patiently await the arrival of His Excellency President George Weah. Like we've said earlier, the head of state, the former head of state, as a matter of fact, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is here. Former President Sirleaf turned over power to His Excellency George Weah on the 22nd of this month at the Samuel Kayando Sports Complex, and today President Weah is expected to address the nation in his first State of the Nation address to the people of this country via the 103 members of the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. Okay, and so the members of the Armed Forces of Liberia band team continue to entertain the crowd here as we await the arrival of the head of state and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Liberia, His Excellency President George Weah, as he's expected to address the nation during the course of this weekend. We intend to see a lot of appointments done. Earlier on, during the course of last week, we had several nominations, and that was happening when the head of state of our country was in Ethiopia at his first AU summit, where he committed Liberia's effort to ensuring that corruption is fought in Africa, and making the government of Liberia no exception. And so we're here at the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature, where President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, former President Sirleaf, is here. We have members of both houses, the House of Senate and the House of Representatives. We have foreign guests, dignitaries. We also see ministers destined or making their way to this all-important program when President George Weah will be delivering his first State of the Nation address. Oliver Kine is my name. Hot TV Channel 12 is the institution, and together we going to bring you every visual content you need to know from your end. So continue watching. We also ask you to share this broadcast. And so the AFL, the band team of the Armed Forces of Liberia, got a way of inspiring Liberians and our foreign partners whenever we have a situation of a national occasion. They will always play the old and traditional songs of Liberia. And so that song is "Tomorrow I'm Going Home." That song reminds a lot of Liberians about our war days when Liberians had to go to seek refuge in other countries. And so there came a time where we had stability returning to our country, and there was a need for people to come back to Liberia. There was a need for people to be more concerned about coming back to build this country. And so this song, "Tomorrow I'm Going Home," is so beautiful. Enjoy. And so you're saying the members of the Armed Forces of Liberia band team, they're playing some rhythms for the guests here and very important personalities here in the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature. This program is coming to you via Hot TV Channel 12. Many thanks to our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Bernard Blue Benson, the rest of the team making sure that this production is brought, Mr. Stone Gray, Mr. Cypher the King, the rest of the technical staff. Nick Siebel is here behind the cameras. Joseph Doe is making sure all of the technical activities here are set off. James Colley is also on the team, and kind Oliver Kind. I'm here making sure we have the commentary of every little thing happening here. And so the AFL continuing to do what they know how to do best, and to entertain the crowd, where we have this room already occupied with the needed guests, the needed occupants. Okay, and so that is Kokolioko Chicken, the crow for the day. Like I said earlier, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is certainly in the building. She's in the joint chambers, waiting to see and to hear what her successor would definitely tell this country via the members of the House of Representatives and the House of Senate. And so there you see the president of Liberia, and you see the members of the Honorable Supreme Court of Liberia. They are here seated. And so this is a full house. The entire government of Liberia is here. This is where we have the vice president, Her Excellency Madam Joah Howard Taylor. We have the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Dr. Buford Chambers. We have the pro tempore of the Honorable Liberian Senate, Honorable Abbott Tupachie of Grand Creek County. We also have the Chief Justice and members of the Supreme Court of Liberia. And so we also have representatives from the 73 districts in Liberia and senators from the 30 counties in our country. And so this is the entire government with only one person left, the head of state, commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Liberia and President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah. He's the only one we are awaiting here, so as to have this all-important program get started. But again, we told by 4 o'clock, His Excellency President George Weah is expected to be in the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature to present to the Liberian people the current state of the nation. Okay, and so, like I said earlier on, the band team of the Armed Forces of Liberia got a way of entertaining Liberians and foreign guests every time they given the opportunity to perform. And so we still awaiting the arrival of the Chief Executive of Liberia, the Chief Executive Officer, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Liberia, the Head of State and President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah. And so we are still in the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature, and as soon as the committees on executive arrives here in the joint chambers with the President of Liberia, the protocol officer will have it announced. But we see former president leave in a tete-a-tete discussion with a justice of the Supreme Court. Justice Kabina is there. Justice Sianayo is also there. James Etowolokoli, Justice James Etowolokoli is also here. The Chief Justice, Justice Philip Eza Banks, is also here. And so this is very, very historic. This is a historical moment when the former president will have to sit in chambers to actually hear the current president deliver the State of the Nation address. I think if you cannot take anything from us as Liberians during this stage, period, and age, I think you got to take the fact that we've transitioned into a people ready for business, into a country prepared for the format of the developmental agenda ahead thereby. But again, we're still here, Kind Oliver Kind Hot TV Channel 12, and we encourage you to share this broadcast. If you're watching locally via Hot TV Channel 12, we also ask you to call your friends to join you in watching this all-important live broadcast here from the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature. We also on SATCOM, Channel 6 on SATCOM, Channel 12 locally. If you're watching us from a traditional cable, a television cable, you can watch us on Hot TV Channel 12. We also on SATCOM on Channel 6. We on Nanasat, and this broadcast has been relayed by several media institutions across the globe. Earlier on, during the inauguration, we had several media institutions, including state broadcaster, relaying our broadcasts. But again, we're here, we're doing the Liberian people's job, making sure that we have the speech of His Excellency President George Weah delivered to the people of Liberia and the world over, through the members of the Honorable House of Senate and members of the Honorable House of Representatives. And so what you see on your cameras is protocol officers of the Executive Protection Service. We also have members of the Legislative Security Team here. And so we're here. My time says it's 2 minutes past 4 o'clock. This is almost unusual. The time is 2 minutes past 4 o'clock, and we stay awaiting the arrival of the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah. And so we're here waiting for the VIP to arrive. We also see foreign dignitaries here. They are also here making sure that they be part of this historic moment when a former president of Liberia will wait and patiently watch the current president deliver the State of the Nation address. This is so awesome. This is very, very wonderful. This is beautiful. This is a country ready for business. But again, we have 4 minutes past 4 o'clock, and up to now we stay await the arrival of President George Weah. And so the president of our country is on his way. We are awaiting him. But while we're in the process of awaiting the president, we see the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Speaker Buffer Chambers, seated in his presiding seat, being flanked by the Vice President of Liberia, Her Excellency Madam Joel Howard Taylor. And so as soon as we receive signal of the arrival of the president on the grounds of the capital, we're going to have you informed. But up to now, exactly 5 minutes past 5 o'clock, we stay awaiting the arrival of His Excellency George Weah. So you see Dr. Buffer Chambers and the Vice President of Liberia and head of the Liberian Senate, Her Excellency Madam Chief Swakoko Joa Howard Taylor, is also there. Next to the Vice President is the pro tempore of the Honorable Liberian Senate, Honorable Abbott Tubachie. And so we see three counties together seated right here: Maryland County, Bond County, and Grand Crew County. Representative and Speaker Buffer Chambers representing Maryland County, Vice President and head of the Liberian Senate, Her Excellency Joel Howard Taylor, representing Bond County, and Honorable Abbott Tubachie, the pro tempore of the Liberian Senate, representing Grand Crew County. And so there you see the combination of three counties. We also see the justices of the Honorable Supreme Court of our country, and Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Liberia's former president, beautifully dressed and holding her hands and just thinking, what is the president waiting for? I know she's thinking, during my days, by now I'm in the building. Hey, probably something is going on, but we here still patiently awaiting the arrival of His Excellency President George Weah. Okay, and so whenever I see the president, the former president of our country, as a matter of fact, I'm so happy. What comes to my mind is so much joy, not for anything else, but for the fact that as a country we can now sit and see our former president breathing the air of freedom. Again, the Vice President is comfortably seated in the middle between the pro tempore of the Liberian Senate and the Speaker of the Liberian House of Representatives. So Dr. Buffer Chambers is having a tete-a-tete discussion with the Chief Clerk of the Republic of Liberia, the Chief Clerk of the House of Representatives, the Republic of Liberia. But again, oh my word, we're having some technical adjustments here. Alright, so I think it's settled up now. We see members of the bench of the Supreme Court of Liberia trying to fan themselves manually using their wow. and I'm told the president will soon arrive. But while we are in the process of awaiting His Excellency the President George Weah, we're going to bring you every visual. All right, and so we're here waiting. The members of the Armed Forces of Liberia band team, they're all quiet. They stopped playing the rhythms. We see protocol officers moving here and there. We see officers of the Executive Protection Service also moving around. And so, folks, I think we're close to that moment when the President of Liberia will be arriving here in the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature. But from where we are, we've not gotten the signal that the VIP is here, and so we see a journalist of the journalist assigned to the executive mansion entering this podium. The band team of the Armed Forces of Liberia, they are standing, and I'm sure now that any moment from now the president will be arriving, making the time 9 minutes past 4 o'clock here from the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature here on Capitol Hill in Monrovia, Liberia. And so, folks, Hot TV Channel 12 is coming to you via your browser, via your television set. If you're watching us online via Facebook, we encourage you to share this all important broadcast. If you're watching us locally via the traditional cable television, we ask you,
Mr. Speaker, honorable ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of Liberia,
and so the protocol officer have announced the arrival of the President of Liberia, His Excellency George Weah, and I see Representative Mona Peno Youngblood. She's the one you see in there, Representative Mona Peno Youngblood. And so we stay awaiting that moment when His Excellency President George Weah will walk into the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature. Hot TV Channel 12, kind, all of a kind. Together we here having a wonderful time where Liberians from all walks of life have come.
the President,
And
Mrs. Weah, His Excellency.
All right, and so the members of the committees, and so President Josh Weah has arrived, dressed up in his suit with a red tie, as he's been national team of Liberia, being played by the Armed Forces of Liberia, and President George Weah is now on the podium.
Madam Vice President of the Senate, Honorable Speaker, Mr. Pro Tempore, Honorable members of the legislature, Your Honor, the Chief Justice, Associate Justices of the Supreme Court, members of the Judiciary, Dean and members of the Cabinet and other government officials, Going, Excellency, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Excellency, the Special Representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations in Liberia, the officers and staff of the United Nations Mission in Liberia, Mr. Chief of Staff, members, women, men of the Armed Forces of Liberia, former officials of government, traditional leaders, chiefs and elders, political and business leaders, religious leaders, officers and members of the National Bar Association, labor and trade union, civil society organizations, members of the press, special guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow Liberians. What a privilege and honor to be here today. And what an honor for Her Excellency, Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, to be here to grace this occasion. Madam Sirleaf, I say welcome. Your presence here today shows how far we have come as people. Honorable ladies and gentlemen of the 54th Legislature, I stand before you today under the mandate of Article 58 of the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia, which places a duty on the President of the Republic on the 4th working Monday of January every year to present the administration and legislative program for the ensuing section of the Honorable Legislature and to report to the Liberian people through you, their duly elected representatives in joint assembly on the state of the Republic. Before I commence to do so, I would first of all like to thank the Almighty God for His bountiful goodness and abundant mercies that He has bestowed upon us as a nation and as a people. With His steady hands, He has guided our ship of state through stormy seas and contrary winds, and has brought us safely to a calm and peaceful shore, where we can find refuge and strength. Honorable ladies and gentlemen of the 54th Legislature, exactly 1 week ago, we witnessed and participated in a historic and peaceful transition from the Cuban administration to a newly elected government, the first such event in our history for more than 70 years. Liberians have received commendations and congratulations from all over the world for the civility and maturity demonstrated throughout this long process, which eventually ended in the passing of the baton from one generation of leadership to a younger generation. And so it came to pass, as a result of this process, that I, George Weah, the 1907, took the oath of the office and was sworn in as the 24th President of the Republic of Liberia, in the presence of most, if not all of you, I sworn that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Liberia. And in this process, I ask the Almighty God to help me to do so to the best of my ability. And in this is exactly what I intend to do. The Liberian Constitution, which is the supreme law of the Republic, and with which I am intimately familiar, shall be my principal guide for leadership and governance throughout my tenure as President. Without pretending to be a constitutional scholar, expert, or lawyer, I found direction as well as inspiration from studying it. I will humbly advise all of you, honorable ladies and gentlemen, and indeed all Liberians, to study your constitution well, for I found it to be the most useful, practical guide for those who govern and for those who are governed. My assumption is that not everyone is familiar with the Constitution, as they ought to be. I would now beg your indulgence to allow me to make frequent references to it today as I address you. In some instances, I will read extensively from it. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, what is expected of us who have been elected by our people to govern them? What is really expected of those of us who have been entrusted with the responsibility to lead them? The answer is to be found in chapter 2 of our Constitution, from which I shall now read selected articles extensively and verbatim. And I quote, Chapter 2, General Principles of National Policy. Article 4, the principles contained in this chapter shall be fundamental in the governance of the Republic and shall serve as guidelines in the formulations of legislative, executive, administrative directives, policy making, and their execution. Article 5. The Republic shall aim at strengthening the national integration and unity of the people of Liberia, regardless of ethnic, regional, and other differences, into one body politics. And the legislature shall enact laws promoting national unification and the encouragement of all citizens to participate in government. B. Preserve, protect, and promote positive Liberian culture, ensuring that traditional values which are compatible with public policies and national progress are adapted and developed as an integral part of the growing needs of the Liberian society. C. Take steps by appropriate legislation and executive order to eliminate sectionalism and tribalism and such abuses of power as the misuse of government resources, nepotism, and all other corrupt practices. Article 6. The Republic shall, because of the vital role assigned to the individual citizen under this constitution for the social, economic, and political well-being of Liberia, provide equal access to educational opportunities and facilities for all citizens to the extent of available resources. Emphasis shall be placed on the mass education of the Liberian people and the elimination of illiteracy. Article 7. The Republic shall consistent with the principles of individual freedom and social justice enshrined in this Constitution, manage the national economy and the natural resources of Nigeria in such manner as shall ensure the maximum feasible participation of Liberian citizens under conditions of equality so as to advance the general welfare of the Liberian people and the economic development of Liberia. Article 8. The Republic shall direct its policy towards ensuring for all citizens, without discrimination, opportunities for employment and livelihood under just and humane conditions, and towards promoting safety, health, and welfare facilities in employment. 9. The Republic shall encourage the promotion of bilateral and regional cooperation between and among Liberia and other nations, and the formations and maintenance of regional organizations aimed at the cultural, social, political, and economic development of the people of Africa and other nations of the world. 10. The Republic shall ensure the publication and dissemination of this Constitution throughout the Republic and the teaching of its principles and provisions in all institutions of learning in Liberia. Unquote. Honorable ladies and gentlemen of the 54th Legislature, this is the backdrop against which the legislative program of my administration shall be proposed for your kind consideration. And you will soon discover upon closer examination that Chapter 2 of our Constitution forms the essential framework for the formulation of the political manifesto and platform upon which I and many of you ran and won during the just ended elections. It is customary that the State of Nation address gives an account of the President's stewardship of the government for the previous year, and then set out its legislative agenda for the ensuing section. Additionally, the President is expected to present the overall economic condition of the nation, which should cover both expenditure and revenue. In this regard, as I have been President for only 1 week, I cannot be expected to report with authority on the expenditure and income of the government of Liberia for the previous year. Thank you. Which my minister honor my predecessor. Of course, during the transition process, certain information has been provided to us on both income and expenditure, containing balances which we now inherit to carry forward. Total revenue collected in calendar year 2017 amounted to $489.1 million US dollars, which is a 13% decline over revenue collected in 2016, which was $565.1 million. I can now vouch for the accuracies of completeness of this information. In the absence of verification by a full and proper audit conducted by a competent authority. This highly unusual situation is caused by the delays in the recent electoral process, which have the effect of reducing the transition period from 3 months to 3 weeks. Nevertheless, and in spite of the above described situation, it is possible to inform you that the state of the economy that my administration has inherited leaves a lot to be done and to be desired. This is plain for all to see, for we are all affected by it. Our economy is broken. Our government is broke. Our currency is in free fall. Inflation is rising. Unemployment is at an unprecedented high, and our foreign reserves are at an all-time low. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, this is the challenge that we face. In order to overcome these constraints and reverse this trend, we, the executive, will have to work in close collaboration with you. The legislature are separate but coordinate branches of government to find solutions to these obstacles to our progress and development. During the course of this section, we shall propose and introduce priorities legislation for your consideration and approval that will be based on the 4 pillars of our platform, namely: 1, power to the people. 2, we shall focus on reviews and revisions of our education system, improve health and sanitation, promote and strengthening gender equality, and provide for youth reorientation, empowerment through training of all kinds, the creation of jobs, and expansion of sports. As Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." The improvement of our education system is and shall remain a constant and major priority during my administration. For example, I made a promise that my government will absorb the wise fee for all 12 graders, and I remain committed to that promise. My government has already started to disburse these fees by committing an initial amount of $200,000 United States in consultation with my predecessor. Thank you, Madam. Number 2, economy and jobs. We will introduce new legislation and policy which will be intended to achieve sustainable economic growth, develop and expand agriculture, and address our very large infrastructure deficit with particular emphasis on road construction and the provision of affordable and adequate electricity for all our people. Number 3, sustaining the peace. Under this bill, we shall examine ways to improve the judicial system to ensure that the basic rights of all Liberians are protected. To that end, we will propose legislation that will be intended to create new processes and revenues and avenues to ensure that all our people are fully reconciled. In terms of security and defense, we rely on our budgetary support to enable us to continue to improve the professional and operational development of the armed forces of Liberia and other security agencies in order to better prepare them to participate in the fight against global terrorism. In this regard, we will especially focus on the hostage constraint faced by our security personnel. Number 4, governance and transparency. We will request you to draft a legislation that will focus on the decentralization of institutions and systems of governance, review and build upon the current code of conduct in order to increase accountability of public officials and reduce the incidence of corruption. In an effort to make government more efficient, we submit to you a draft legislation to restructure the cabinet of the executive branch to make our ministry more effective in addressing the specific requirements of our various sectors. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, what I have just presented to you is a broad and general indication of our legislative program. However, and more specifically, I would like to inform you that my immediate strategy for reducing poverty, increasing youth empowerment through job creation and training, improving the productivity of our economy is to embark upon a comprehensive road and highway construction program that will link all counties, capital with all-weather paved primary roads. They will be built to the highest international standard. And linked to pave secondary farm to market road that will enhance agriculture, trade, and tourism in Liberia. Particular priority will be given to the coastal highway that will run from Buchanan to Harper, which will eventually end the complete isolation of the southeastern region, Liberia. The conditions that have existed since the formation of this country. There is a medium-term project which will take several years to complete, but it is the intention of my government to prioritize the planning and raising of funding for this important development goal, which has been estimated to cost approximately $3 billion United States dollars. This is going to be very challenging, but I'm convinced that with the assistance of my friendly government and institutions, this can be achieved before the end of my tenure. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to address you on what I consider to be my most urgent and imperative agenda. Since the founding of this country in 1847, more than 170 years ago, there have been certain restrictions on citizenship and property ownership that, in my view, have become serious impediment to the development and progress of the country. These restrictions include the limitation of citizen ownership to be black people, the limitation of property ownership exclusively to citizens, and the non-alliance of dual citizenship. The framework of the 1847 Constitution may have every reason and justification to include these restrictions in that historic document in their own words, and I quote, "The great object of forming these colonies being to provide home for the dispersed and oppressed children of Africa, and to regenerate and enlighten this benign continent. None but persons of color shall be admitted to citizenship in this republic." Unquote. They are free slaves but fleeing from the oppressive yoke of slavery imposed upon them by white slave owners. They therefore wanted Liberia to be a refuge and a haven for free men of color. And so they restricted citizenship only to black people. This may have been appropriate for the 19th century and for the threats and conditions that existed at that time. However, here in the 21st century, I am of the view that these threats no longer exist, and that these conditions have changed. In these circumstances, it is my view that keeping such a clause in our Constitution is unnecessary, racist, and inappropriate for the place that Liberia occupies today in the Committee of Nations. It also contradicts the very definition of Liberia, which is derived from the Latin word "liber," meaning liberty. I believe that we should have nothing to fear from people of any other race becoming citizens of Liberia. Once they conform to the requirement of our immigration and naturalization laws, they may be appropriately amended to address this new situation. In fact, we have everything to gain if we look in our region among the other member states of ECOWAS, especially our neighbors in La Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. It will soon be observed that permitting people of other races to become citizens has not marginalized their indigenous. I believe that this is an enormous that should not have found its way into the 1986 Constitution, Chapter 4, Article 27. I therefore strongly recommend and propose respectfully that consideration should be given to removing it by appropriate measures provided for in our laws for amending the Constitution, Chapter 12. Restriction of land ownership exclusive to citizens. The second provision in our Constitution, which stands today to impede our progress and stall our growth and development, in the restriction of land ownership only to Liberian citizens. Article 22A. No foreign investor, in fact, not any investor, will be willing to make significant direct investment in our country if they cannot own property in fee simple. Furthermore, direct investment placed on leased property are virtually unbankable because most banks are reluctant to accept leasehold as collateral for loan to persons and business entities for projects that could be very well enhance our development and create jobs for our people. It is inconsistent with my pronouncement that Liberia is open for business, while at the same time denying those who heed our call and come to Liberia to invest when they are prevented from owning property because of their lack of Liberian citizenship. Liberian citizens are free to purchase property in any other country, and non-citizens, yet our constitution and laws would not allow similar privilege to be accorded to citizens of other nations. I therefore strongly recommend that this restriction be removed and that the appropriate rules and regulations of the Land Commission and other relevant agencies be amended and strengthened to accommodate this new development if approved by referendum. Dual citizenship. The third matter of concern to me is the restriction placed in our constitution on Liberians holding dual citizenship. I believe that most Liberians who are also citizens of another country probably acquire the additional nationality as a means to escape from the terrible atrocity which characterize our civil conflict and for economic survival in their new countries of residence. If as a condition precedent for another country to grant citizenship to these persons, they have to disavow their loyalty to Liberia and pledge allegiance to the laws of another country, then it will have been out of necessity rather than a matter of the heart. And if conditions now exist in Liberia that make them want to return home and contribute a quota to the development of our common patrimony, then I do not think that it is fair to treat them as non-citizens in their own land of birth. Many Liberians in the diaspora have heard my clear call to return home and bring their energies, skills, talent, and expertise and join us in the building of the new Liberia. We need them. And so long as they were born in this country, They were Liberian first. And I believe that they should be welcomed back home with open arms. Whether or not they are required to renounce their adopted nationalities should be a matter of their conscience and the laws which govern their naturalization in their respective domicile. They should be free to make those choices and decisions. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, we are all aware that the Constitutional Review Committee was recently established during the previous administration to review these issues. Among others, the report was presented to the executive, who then duly forwarded it to you for your consideration, and to the best of my knowledge, it is still table and waiting your action. Our people spoke. Our people spoke. However, some of the provisions that were agreed upon are not, in my view, in the interest of future peace and sustainable economic growth of our nation. If we must build a new Liberia that will unite us all and open our doors to investors, then I will respectfully request, ladies and gentlemen, that you revisit the work of the Commission in light of new and existing realities in the best interest of our people and our nation. Honorable members of the 54th Legislature, with the assessment that I gave you earlier on the poor condition of our economy, I believe that it is appropriate that we should all make sacrifices in the interest of our country, Mama Liberia, according to Article 60 of the Constitution. The salaries of the President and the Vice President are established by the legislature and cannot be increased or reduced during the period for which they are elected. However, in view of the very rapidly deteriorating situation of the economy, I am informing you today with immediate effect that I will reduce my salary and benefit by 25% and give and give the proceeds back to the consolidated fund for allocation and appropriation as they see fit. In the meantime, I will urge you, honorable ladies and gentlemen, to follow my lead.
All right, and so the President is urging members of the legislature to follow suit in reducing some of reducing their salaries and immunities. But again, he's been applauded, and let's follow the head of state of our country as he delivers his first State of the Nation address.
In the meantime, I will urge you, honorable ladies and gentlemen, to follow my lead in the interest of our constituents. And so, in closing, honorable ladies and gentlemen of the 54th Legislature, let us all remember that we were elected to serve the Liberian people and now to be masters of them. Let us all strive to practice servant leadership, whereby all that we do inside and outside these chambers as elected leader shall be for the benefit of the Liberian people, by whose mandate we have been given this responsibility to lead them and this opportunity to serve them. Let us all exert our best effort to ensure that in the cause of the people, let the struggle end. Thank you.
All right, and so you've just listened to the President of Liberia, His Excellency President George Weah, deliver his first State of the Nation address, and the band team of the Armed Forces of Liberia playing the national anthem of Africa's oldest republic, the Republic of Liberia. So the national anthem, they're played by the officers of the Armed Forces of Liberia.
We ask that all of us remain standing as the committee escorts His Excellency the President to our holding room as we all proceed to the rotunda for the reception.
And so
the ushers will
the
guide
VIPs
you and we'll have you seated for the reception.
We'll now move over to the rotunda of the Capitol building here on Capitol Hill in Monrovia. You're watching Hot TV Channel 12 coming to you from the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature here in Monrovia, where President George Weah delivered his first State of the Nation address to the people of Liberia via the 103 members of the House of Representatives and House of Senate. The name is Khan Oliver Khan, Hot TV Channel 12. We stay here as the lawmakers, the VIPs, and I see President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, a former President Sirleaf, as she's standing, as she's patiently waiting to have a hug with President George Weah. And so we see the former president and current president of this country having a warm hug. This is so unique to the format of our country. This is one thing that we have not had in our country for so long. And I think Liberia is making the right decisions. I think Liberia has transitioned from that stage where we were looked down upon. No matter our diversity, no matter where we come from as a people, be it religious, be it cultural, be it our... Now moving to the rotunda of the Capitol building for the executive refreshment here. What a brilliant speech it was. What a brilliant address to the nation. And so the session will now be adjourned by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, I almost said His Excellency, but Dr. Buffer Chambers, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, will now adjourn this session, so as to have the other lawmakers go into the rotunda of the Capitol to have their refreshment. But what we see is several invitees standing, having some personal discussions, and the speaker is now calling for order so as to have this all-important session adjourned.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the 54th Legislature, having Having exhausted the singular purpose of today's event, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn this joint legislative session. Honorable Yombli Kanga. Motion.
And so Honorable Yombli Kanga Lawrence of Grand Bassa County has been asked to give a motion to adjourn this session, and she was asked by Representative Dr. Buffer Chambers, the Speaker of the 54th House of Representatives. And so Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence, the wife of Representative Ada Lawrence of the Moserado County District number 15. Here's a representative why Honorable Yombli Kanga Lawrence is the Senator of Grand Bassa County. So she will now make the motion.
Mr. Speaker and members of the House of Representatives,
okay, so we still await the session to be adjourned by the members of the House of Representatives and that of the Senate, but the former president of Liberia is
Mr.
making a
Speaker
way
and members of
out of
House
the joint
Representatives,
chambers.
Mr. President Pro Tempore and my distinguished colleagues, after we have accomplished convening this session for the delivering of this encouraging first annual message by President George Manuel Weah, I, Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence from Grand Bassa County, move if I can obtain a second that this joint session be adjourned.
So the motion to adjourn the session was made by Grand Bassa County Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence and Representative Edwin Snow of Bomi County will second the motion.
Having listened to the motion for adjournment, which is undebatable, I do hereby second the motion.
So the motion was seconded by Representative Edwin Snow of Bomi County, and Speaker Buffer Chambers will now test the motion and have it passed.
I will now having heard the motion being made and seconded, I would like to adjourn this joint legislative session, and it is hereby so ordered.
Wow. Anyway, but I see a shift in the parliamentary proceedings here, because I think when the motion is made and seconded, it has to be tested on the floors for members to vote in favor of the motion or against. But I didn't see that. The speaker quickly joined the motion. Anyway, this is where we are. This is Liberia. So is the situation, and so is the country. But again, we are still at the joint chambers of the Honorable House of Legislature, where President George Weah just delivered his first State of the Nation address, promising a coastal road from the coast of Bassa to the coastal city of Harper, promising the connection of several roads in the country from farm to market. He talked about making sure that the entire southeastern part of Liberia that was caught up from the rest of Liberia in the past will be settled. And so we keep listening. We keep listening here to the song they ever been played. The members of the Armed Forces of Liberia playing several rhythms as they anticipate to certainly definitely entertain the folks here. And so it has been a very, very, very wonderful presentation. We've been here, Hot TV, Channel 12, kind, all of a kind, making sure that we have this all-important program covered and brought to you via your television, via Facebook, and every other means you watch us through. So we want to say thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. Until we meet again at another historic and an important occasion. This has been the production of One Media House Incorporated through Hot TV Channel 12, your own traditional and favorite television station in Liberia. Keep watching Hot TV. God bless you.